and welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Shelley Whitehead. Happy Friday. I'm super excited about today's show. We're going to be having a conversation about bullying. But first, we want to thank those people who've made this show possible. There are supporters, people who have stepped up and said, yes, we like the Owatonna Today Show, what it shows, and they want to be a part of it. So we would like to thank our premier supporters, the City of Owatonna, Express Employment Professionals, Owatonna Public Utilities, Safe and Drug-Free Coalition of Steele County, and the United Way of Steele County. Thank you to them and our primary supporters, Amy Swain Hearing Centers, Coda Living Community and Park Place Senior Living, and Little Theater of Owatonna. But of course, we could not do this show without our interlude supporters. They include Abraham Consulting Technologies, A+ Sohnvac, Brenda Bednar Mortgage, Glenn Meager and Tim Thomas of the Brick Meager Funeral Home and Medford Funeral Home, Brookdale Senior Living, Sterling House and Clare Bridge of Owatonna, the Carlson Brandstad and Company CPAs, ERA Gillespie Real Estate Center, Fairview Animal Medical Center, Horizon Eye Care Professionals, Clancher & Son Landscaping.
I'm Dan Brandstad.
Napa Auto Service, Owatonna Business Incubator, Pizza Ranch of Owatonna, Profinium Financial, R&K Electric, Snap Fitness, Steele County Blades Junior Hockey, the Steele County Historical Society, Third Hand Incorporated Video Productions, and TPS Insurance. These are amazing companies who've working with us to bring you information about the Owatonna area, and we'd love for you to thank them by going to their businesses and letting them know you saw us right here on the Owatonna Today Show. If you'd like to be a supporter, you are more than welcome to join us on this amazing journey. You can give Leanne a call at 390-5751. And if you are a private individual and still would like to be a part of the show, we do accept donations, and you can send that to the Owatonna Today Show at 1130 North Elm Street, Owatonna, Minnesota 55060. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting us. We're going to be back. We're going to be speaking with, I want to get their names right, Julie Sullivan and Jill Fales of the Owatonna School District. So stick with us right here on the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, I'm Jody Voisin with the staff at Fairview Animal Medical Center, your other family doctor. Fairview Animal Medical Center is a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
Juvenile fire setters is a big problem in the city of Owatonna. If you have any problems with juveniles or young adults setting fires within your homes or your community, please get in contact with the Owatonna Fire Department, and we can help assist you with rectifying the problems with the juvenile fire setter. This is a public service information from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hi, we're Mark and Becky Stevens of the Owatonna Pizza Ranch.
And we support the Owatonna Today Show.
And we're back with the Owatonna Today Show. We are going to be talking about bullying today. I have the opportunity to be a student at the Mankato State University, or Minnesota State University, Mankato actually. And as part of that education, I was able to write a show for our children's touring company. This is a touring company that goes all over the state, bringing a message to the children through theater. And this year I wrote this on bullying. And it's something that has affected my life when I was a young child. And I still vividly remember some of those moments. And I know that it affects many other people. In fact, my own children have dealt with a little bit about this. And so I thought I should write a show about this. So I do have a show called Shine, and it is touring around Minnesota, and we have the opportunity of bringing it to the Owatonna area. It'll be at Wilson and Washington this next week. Your children might be watching this themselves. But what is amazing about this is as we were starting to prepare to rehearse the show, I sat down with the students and talked to them about their experiences. And everyone, I had about 11, 12 people in the room, everyone but one had experienced some form of bullying. They had been bullied, they had seen bullying, they had been the bully themselves. It was a very emotional time, and it really affected these students. And so I thought it was time to tackle it in a new and unique way, and so that's why I wrote Shine. And so today we have with us Julie Sullivan and Jill Fales of the Owatonna School District. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. And I wanted to start with, first of all, having you introduce yourself and what you do with the school district.
Okay, I'm Julie Sullivan. I'm the principal at Wilson Elementary.
And I'm Jill Fales. I'm one of 8 school social workers for the district, and I work at both Washington and Lincoln Elementary.
Okay, ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. Bullying has pretty much affected everyone, and I think sometimes we forget that. We talk about it, we see movies about it, it's in the media, we hear horrible stories, but it isn't just the extreme stories that happen. There are also the minor bullying incidents that still impact kids. Mine would be considered minor, and yet I'm still remembering it very vividly 30, 40 years later. So I want to talk a little bit about, let's start with defining bullying. Can we do that? Just to give in what you use in your school when you talk to the kids about what is bullying?
Yeah, I know in the school district, one of the things that we've really worked to separate is the difference between harassment and bullying. And it's interesting, as much stuff comes down at us from the state level, even sometimes from the federal level, bullying isn't really defined by them. It's kind of left up to school districts. They kind of have some parameters. But really, bullying is repeated incidents of, you want to say, kind of mean behavior, name calling. It could be physical, it could be hitting, pushing, that happens repetitively. You know, an isolated incident we'll still handle. It might not be bullying, it just might be one behavioral incident that happened. But if it's somebody who kind of continues to go after a person or a group of kids with the same type of behaviors, that's when it kind of becomes bullying. And I don't know if there's anything, Jill, that you would add to that.
No, that sounds, no, you spoke well.
Okay, and so when you have a bullying situation in a school, a child has reported it, or a teacher sees it, what are some of the steps that those people in charge can take in that situation?
Well, you know, I think, first of all, we have to remember that we're dealing with children, and sometimes very young children. It could be a kindergartner or a first grader, and any behavior, it doesn't matter if it's a bullying or it's an incident, one isolated incident, we always want to kind of get the root of why. You know, there's always a reason why somebody is doing what they're doing, and so we try to figure out what that is. You know, obviously, there are consequences that you can put in place, and that is important for the other families to know. You know, like if their child was being bullied and we got to the bottom of it, we can't share what those consequences are because there is some data privacy, but they want to know that at least it was handled and it was addressed. So we have that, but probably more importantly is working with that child who was the one who was bullying. You know, why were they doing it? Oftentimes it might mean working with me, but oftentimes I will refer that student to a social worker. In my school, it's Sue Schrader, and if we have an incident like that, or if we have cases of bullying, she often does, whether it's individual kind of working with a student, or it might be with a group of students. If like, we hit 5th grade and this time of year, I don't know if at Washington, but you know, they start changing a little bit, they're getting ready to move on, and then some, you know, behaviors start happening. And then sometimes she might pull together, we call maybe a friendship group, or we wouldn't necessarily call it a bullying group, but we might have different groups of kids that she might work with. And then obviously you want to support the student who was being bullied, to talk about, you know, how do you stand up for yourself, and how do we make sure that they feel safe in reporting, you know, any sort of an incident. And just as important is dealing with the bystanders, and that's a big emphasis that we have at our school, and I know Jill probably deals with that too. But it's getting the other kids not to just see it and let it go, but maybe to try to step in, or maybe to report it to an adult.
That communication, that talking about it, opening
absolutely.
up those, and I know that part of it is a fear-based thing, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this emotional side of it, Jill, because oftentimes their kids don't report it because they're afraid of reprisal. Or being seen in a certain light, and yet the emotional impact that this has on them, it needs to be talked about. So can you address that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, being bullied does impact self-esteem, which, you know, in turn creates barriers to learning. And so social workers often work with students to develop skills so that they're able to, first of all, try to stand up for themselves, or just use the right language, you know. I think that skill development is very, very important. And a lot of the times these kids are lacking in some of those skills. And so, as was already said, we do that on an individual basis. We often do it in groups. But yeah, it's really important to work on those self-esteem issues and skill development.
So how do you address when you have a student who is very scared of coming forward because of reprisals or being seen? How do you encourage that student to do that? What are some of the ways that you can do that, encourage them?
Well, you know, at the beginning of the school year, one of the things that I do is I go to every classroom and I meet with all of the kids, and we talk about a variety of things. At Wilson, we use talk, walk, and squawk, and the kids know it, you know, that first it's kind of your responsibility to say, hey, I don't like that, or, you know, please stop, or whatever it is. And then there's the walk, try to walk away. And then there's the squawk, you know, because there's a little difference between, and we always talk about that with the kids, between tattletaling and reporting. You know, tattletaling that somebody is playing around with their eraser when they shouldn't be, versus, you know what, I've tried to deal with this myself and now I need to report it. And to always make those kids feel comfortable when they come in, that they should never feel bad about coming in to report something, and encouraging that with parents too. Sometimes we don't know about situations because they don't hear, and then all of a sudden we'll get a phone call, well, they've been bullied, and oh, we didn't even know about that, you know. And so sometimes it's the parents who will make the phone call, and that's okay too. Sometimes if the child is comfortable talking to a parent at home, and the parent will call and say, hey, you know, we have this situation going on and we just need to deal with it, then we kind of get information and we go from there and start investigating.
And so what are some of the repercussions of not reporting it, of not giving, like even if you see it, Jill, what are some of the things that you see affecting the other students around them?
I just think that, you know, if it doesn't get reported, it doesn't get handled, then the long-term effect are trouble in school. A lot of those kids end up having trouble in learning and engaging in school.
So many people don't realize that the emotional impact that it has actually affects all areas of their life, just not their emotional.
It changes who they are, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really good about, at least at the elementary level, is that, you know, we try to have a culture of family. Some of the things that we do are a variety of assemblies. Other things are like this t-shirt. For example, this is a Washington t-shirt. Every Monday we wear our t-shirts, and the kids wear the same t-shirt. And so we try to build a culture, you know, so that these things don't happen.
And a culture of communication. I think allowing them not to have it feel like they're doing something wrong when they talk about it, and that it's just a natural thing. Of course you talk about it. This is something everybody talks about, you know. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm excited to be bringing Shine to your schools, is that it's going to open hopefully that dialogue. They'll be entertained, I hope. But there also be that opening of dialogue. And we're going to continue talking about this in the next segment, because I do want to talk a little bit about some of the specific tools that kids can use and what parents can do, because more often than not, parents are watching this show, and give them some of the resources they can do. So we'll be right back with the Owatonna Today Show.
Hello, I'm Shawn McNulty. And I'm Deb Gillard with Brookdale Senior Living, Sterling House, and Clarebridge of Owatonna. And we are a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Don't let the cold winter weather stop you from exercising. Keep up your fitness program at the West Hills Tennis and Fitness Center. We offer a variety of different membership packages available on daily, monthly, and yearly basis. We also have a variety of programs and services to help the newest of members get started, and to help those who have been around for a while improve on what they are doing. The Tennis and Fitness Center participates in insurance reimbursement programs with a variety of different insurance providers that could make you eligible for up to $20 credit each month. For more information about the West Hills Tennis and Fitness Center, call us at 444-4290.
Do you know how to safely dispose of your expired or unused prescription and non-prescription medications? Not by flushing them down the toilet or putting them in the garbage. Doing so pollutes our rivers, streams, and drinking water supply. Take it to the box instead for safe, secure disposal. It's easy. Bring your unused medications in their original containers to the drop-off locations listed on the screen, and drop them in the Take It to the Box drop box. Proper disposal of unwanted medications keeps them out of the hands of children and out of our environment. This is a message from the Safe and Drug-Free Coalition of Steele County.
Hi, I'm Glenn Mager.
And I'm Tim Thomas of the Brick Mager Funeral Home, and we're proud to serve the Medford and Owatonna areas with cremation and traditional funeral services.
And we're proud to be a part of the Owatonna Today Show.
I'm Mark Woodrich with Steele County Blades Junior Hockey. Come back to the orange and black. We'll see you at the rink. The Steele County Blades are very proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
And we're back with the Owatonna Today show. As I mentioned earlier, I did have the opportunity to write a children's traveling show. It's called Shine, and the students have been performing it now for several weeks, and they'll continue to do that throughout the beginning of March, actually. And if you'd like to see it, you can either go to the Wilson or Washington. But we're also doing a public performance in the beginning of March, March 2nd, in Mankato. If you'd like to see this and bring your kids, you're more than welcome to. It's at the Minnesota State University. It'd be a lot of fun. Shine is about a little girl who goes to school and is different from the other people, and so you see different levels of bullying in the show. The children, she is challenged with that, and we show the different ways that she handles it, and I think it's a lot of fun. And then at the end, each of the students do get an opportunity to decide what they're going to do with that bullying situation. So here's a little clip about what you'll see for Shine.
Move off the playground, clear off the baseball field. When we come down the hallway, you'd better yield. Stay off the swing set, don't care what race you ran. We're taking over this place because we can. Don't you wish you were us? Yeah, don't you wish you were us? We are the kids you always wanted to be. We are the kids you always wanted to. We are the goal you're trying for, but you can't reach. We are the gang you always want to be. Hey. You always want to be. Just so you know, you're never gonna get in.
And so that is Shine. That's the beginning ovation, I don't know, act, whatever it is. And so that's the opportunity, that's what the kids are going to be seeing as they go into the schools on Tuesday and Wednesday next week at Washington and Wilson. So ladies, I want to talk about, as you saw at the beginning of that show, these kids come in and they're all in one color, and you see them bullying someone who looks different from them, and that's kind of one of the first steps in bullying, is the ostracizing, is you look different, I don't want you to be a part of our gang. So can you talk about some of the other levels that we see of bullying and what those clearly are?
Well, and there you talked about specifically targeting one person, you know, and we always keep our eyes open to try to make sure that kids have people they can connect with, classroom teachers, social worker, everybody in the building. We kind of look for that, you know, like, is somebody kind of by themselves, and who could we maybe link them to so that they aren't, you know, by themselves. Yeah. Because when you have somebody else with you, you feel stronger, you feel better. You know, and that's often what can happen, you know, they just leaving them out of games, not allowing them to play with them, or, you know, telling them they don't look the same, which I heard in there, you know, you're not, you know, she was dressed differently, but, you know, and then saying, oh, we're the cool ones, you know, you want to be like us, and we don't, you know, obviously that's not something that we want to have happen. We want everybody to feel comfortable with who they are and proud of, you know, their individual traits that they have.
And that's kind of what happens in Shine, is we see the kids come out in gray, and then one at a time they decide they don't want to be a bully anymore, and so then they end up becoming their own true self. Talk a little bit about that, Jill, about the empowerment that kids can get when they do stand up to a bully, or just be who they are instead of trying to blend in with the crowd.
I think that once they develop a skill to be able to do that on their own, I think that self-esteem does definitely increase. I think it's very empowering, you know, when kids are able to get to that point. A lot of the work that I do also would include things like role-playing, so that they're able to practice how they're going to approach a bully, or, you know, defend themselves from a bully. We always come up with a plan so that they, you know what to do when something happens.
Well, and I think that's what's interesting about this show, is that part of this play is she has an older brother that she talks to, and I think that's one of the things that we need to do, is encourage the parents to talk to their kids and get them that conversation going, because as you said, sometimes you don't see it at school, and the only way you can tell is through a parent, and so by opening that dialogue. But one of the interesting things is when you find about the bullying, what should a parent do when they hear that their child is maybe having some difficulty at school, what are some of the actions that they can take?
Sure. Well, I think first of all, those individual skills, talking to the child about, that is not true, that is not who you are, you need to stand up for yourself. But then there's always that communication with the classroom teacher, and I think that's a great place to start. The classroom teacher sees a lot, and the classroom teacher then might communicate with the playground supervisor, and then I'm brought into the loop, The phone call, to me, I accept and I enjoy those phone calls. It's good when a parent feels comfortable to call and say, hey, I know you probably haven't heard about this, but I've noticed some differences in Tom, and I think this is what's going on. I asked him some questions, and then it allows me to take some steps, whether it's, working through the classroom teacher or with our social worker, like Sue Schrader or Jill in her case, to work with those students. We want to keep that self-esteem up and deal with both sides of the issue, the victim and the bully.
Right, and I guess the show that we're bringing deals a little bit more about the victim side of it, and each of the children do experience bullying, and I think in their own way. We see the isolation, we see the name calling, the teasing, we see the not playing in games, and it escalates to actual physical, where someone actually gets hurt because of the bullying. And I guess when you talk about dealing with both sides, of course, we're helping those students who have received it. But when you deal with the other side, the bully side, hopefully you can work with that child enough to the point that where there isn't that physical violence.
Well, yeah, and you hope it never gets to physical, but the mental abuse that can come with that is pretty strong as well. But you have to keep in mind that with kids, the bully probably has been bullied himself or herself, or has had some rough patches in his or her own life, or maybe just has some really significant self-esteem issues because of different things, and that's why they lash out at other people. So that's why it's just as important to deal with the bully and try to figure out, I don't think kids grow up wanting to be mean to each other, and maybe they are in certain situations, but most kids are really good at heart. They maybe act out in different ways because of some things that are going on in their life too. So I think that is just as important, to support both sides.
Jill, do you see that if you bring to the attention of somebody who has been bullied, that possibly the bully himself is going through something, do you see the perception of that bullying situation change for kids? Or is that really not something that affects them? Are they too still egocentric in their world to understand that somebody else's behavior has been affected by something else?
I do think that, kids do recognize when it's explained to them. Children are children and they have a limited amount of information. I do find that doing some conflict resolution is very helpful between the two parties or along with bystanders as well. Excuse me, I just lost my train of thought.
Happens to me all the time.
Right. But we do find that, the bully themselves often do have self-esteem issues, that need to be dealt with also.
And so the victim, if they're presented with that information, does it make them more compassionate towards that person instead of just angry? Or is
Generally
it still...
with children, yes. Yeah. I'm speaking for elementary level. Right. But yeah, I really do think that, a lot of good work is done, when we deal with this head-on with both parties and, groups of children.
So one thing that we haven't talked about yet, and in my elementary school not so much, but I know as the higher grades, is cyberbullying, this concept. And I'm wondering if in your older grades, and if like in the 5th grade, you're seeing kids with phones kind of explain what that is a little bit.
It hasn't come into the school, at least at the elementary level, where I've had to do a lot of investigation. I was an assistant principal at the high school for 4 years and dealt a lot with that. But we talk about at our back-to-school meetings, like things like Facebook. They're not meant for kids under the age of 13, and yet when my social worker just finished doing lessons in the classrooms and she asked our 5th grade students, I would venture that 75% of them have a Facebook page. And things that happen on there when that's not monitored, and they have access to things they probably shouldn't have access to. And if a parent isn't checking out their child's Facebook, and many of the parents didn't even know, I don't think they know that their kids have an account, but a lot happens there. And, when I was at the high school, a lot of that trickled into the school. Because if kids aren't feeling safe because of things that are said on there, they don't feel safe in the school, and then we ultimately ended up having to deal with it, which is difficult because, we don't like to go out and That's not our job, is to search people's Facebook pages
Right.
but if things are brought to our attention, yeah, we do have to deal with it. And I think it is going to trickle down younger
Eventually,
and younger. You know, texting, so many of the kids that have phones and texting, and it's so much easier to write something when you're not facing somebody. And I think we're going to see more and more of that.
And I think, I'm guessing that a good deterrent to that is talking about the results of that and making them aware ahead of time. Yes, this may be funny. You may think this is funny, but this is what will result, and this is what's happened in other situations, and this could happen here. And that's kind of a hard thing to do, because some of the situations have been with children taking their own lives in elementary school as well because of bullying. But do you feel like, even though that's kind of a hard situation to talk about, that it's still important to remind children or let them know about those situations? Or I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a fine line at the elementary of how much you want to go into that. I think at the elementary level, my perspective is that you almost it has to be a parent education more so.
Okay.
I do think that the parents have to be very aware of what their kids are doing, and if your child has texting, you should be checking it every now and then.
Which seems like an invasion of privacy, but at a certain age I think that's important, because they don't have those social skills yet to know when to say no, who's appropriate to talk to, what's going to happen when they send that text.
Absolutely.
And so by allowing the parents, giving them that kind of educating, like you said, educating, we have a whole, we teach them table manners, we teach them social manners, and so now as parents it's almost like we have to teach our children social media manners.
Absolutely. Social media etiquette, and we've sent things home to parents before. There's education that happens in the classroom about that, so it is a big piece of what we need to do.
So if a parent has some problems at home, they're hearing about their kid having some issues, what can they do?
I would say talk to the teacher, talk to the school social worker, talk to the principal, and obviously keep the child in the loop, and always talking to the child and making sure that communication is open so the child feels comfortable talking to people about
Ladies,
it.
this has been a very important issue, something dear to my heart, as you can tell. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And this has been the Owatonna Today Show. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Amy Martinez.
And I'm Adam Martinez, owners of Snap Fitness in Owatonna.
Snap Fitness is a fast, convenient, and affordable fitness center, and we're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Everyone deserves opportunities to have a good life, a quality education that leads to a stable job, enough income to support a family through retirement, and good health. But the reality is, many children fall behind, many families are struggling, and many others are in poor health. United Way's goal is to find long-term solutions. Thanks to a grant from the Otto Bremer Foundation, we're hosting community conversations this year to address these issues. If you'd like to join us, please call our office.
Hi, this is Barry Gillespie, president of ERA Gillespie Real Estate, where our pledge is to save you money, save you time, and simplify your life. And we're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Owatonna Today Show. I want to remind you that there are a couple of great fundraisers going on this weekend. The Steele County Clothesline is having their fundraiser, as is the Eagles Club with their cancer auction. Make sure you get out and support your community. If you have a chance, make sure you talk to your kids about bullying and what they'll be seeing this next week and prepare them for that. But we'll see you on Monday. I appreciate your time. And don't forget to email us with any of your ideas at owatonnatoday@charter.net. See you next week.